And that is really unfortunate. Or if you have breast cancer, and this is a true story, someone got dropped because they didn't disclaim a pre-existing condition known as acne. They'd forgotten to mention they had acne as a teenager and they get dropped.
Where really the pre-existing condition of breast cancer is that you have 2 of them. I mean, it happens. It happens all the time. It happens in my family a lot, and I think it's rather sexist.
Immediately, we are going to get protection for children with pre-existing conditions. They can't be dropped. With time, we are going to get protection so that being a female doesn't cost you more in the insurance world, or that you can't be dropped if you have a pre-existing condition. Right. And so some of these protections are there. And so to leave our Christmas presents unopened and not pass this bill really would be silly.
Vince?
Well, I was just thinking that people who say they don't like to have or don't want to see government, intruding into health care, if you turn that around, and basically government has been allowing the healthcare industry to discriminate immorally against people that are sick. And when you've got who needs coverage anymore than people with pre-existing conditions? And when you cut them, out of the loop, now you jack up the rates for, well, you're really sick, so if you want to, we might cover you, but it's really going to cost you a lot more than it costs to cover anybody else. I mean, to me, that's immoral. And if the government doesn't get involved in this process that we're in right now with passing a bill that will eliminate that, then it's immoral for them not to take any action. So we're doing the right thing as a country and as the human race, kind of the human condition, like Hollis was talking about.
Absolutely. Well, and I mean, I hate to say this about the government. Senator Trent.
I guess
this actually isn't directed towards you, but I found it really remarkable watching the debates, which I did. I watched the Senate floor this week, and I was absolutely blown away by so many of the comments from the right, which is also known as the wrong. And they were saying things like, this whole thing about the government getting, we don't want to get between people and their doctor when we all know who's between us and our doctor right now is the healthcare industry. However, people were hijacking their votes around the Stupak Amendment when it was in the House, and now Ben Nelson when it comes to providing, abortions for women who are buying into a policy if they so need. So I found it really remarkable that our government doesn't have any problem making, the same people in the government that are making these sort of, stipulations on the bill feel free to get between, a woman and her uterus. I mean, it's a little even closer than her and her doctor.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really ridiculous.
If you want to look at the question of whether or not this bill gets between you and your doctor, if you like your doctor, if you like your insurance, you're given that choice. If you look at Medicare and Medicaid today versus any healthcare insurance at the rate of denials, insurance companies are denying a lot more often than the government is. That means the government is allowing your physician to make decisions for your healthcare with you rather than an insurance company doing it. So this bill actually helps to get your doctor back in the decision role along with you rather than this third party that really probably doesn't care if you live or die.
Right, which is, thanks for calling Aetna, I have a GED, how can I help you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like really?
Exactly. If you
really,
look,
you're going to decide if I'm getting that sonogram after a mammogram? You're really? Like,
again,
that's insane.
If you look at Medicare and Medicaid versus insurance companies at the overhead cost, governmental organizations have a much lower overhead cost, and we don't have bonuses to pay out every year.
Right.
And so that's all money that gets to help you be well. And
cover more people, hopefully. Hopefully. We'll see. So I have a question for you, Vince Beltrami. How long do you think before the insurance companies come back, actually it's for all of you, come back and say, you know what, this whole thing with all those extra sick people, it's awkward. What we think that the United States should do is have a public option. Because frankly, this is just too many sick people. We're not making the money we need to, and this is socialism. You need a public option, and they're going to turn it around. How soon till that happens?
That's an interesting question. I mean, if you look at the bank bailouts, right, and the stimulus funds that went there, and next thing you know, they're saying, yeah, but you can have this money, but we're going to regulate this, you're going to be required to do that, et cetera, et cetera.
No more fat cats.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden they're going, well, maybe we can give that money back. So here you go. So
With interest.
With interest, and under the same scenario, maybe, I don't know, but maybe that risk that they take on by having to cover, more people, not being able to deny that coverage, and
having
if
to answer.
and have
are
and
we
having
really-
to have a more transparent process that we're getting to see. Maybe that's going to be one of those things that spurs them on to do what you said. Maybe a public option down the road does become an eventuality sooner rather than later.
I mean, that's kind of the chess game of politics. Where is this going to go next? But what do you think the chances are of the insurance companies being like, sick people out of our pool, get in your own public pool?
Who would think the insurance company doesn't like sick people? Shocking.
Only if they can profit off them. Yeah.
So I like to keep people well too. So, I think this is a fantastic foundation on which things can be built. And so I think that we have gotten the proverbial, if I can say the word, camel's nose under the tent. I think we will build off of this, and more will happen with time. And so pretty soon the whole camel will be in the tent.
That sounds like a terrorist saying.
I apologize.
I'm totally kidding. Yeah, I'm just kidding you. So what do you think? What are the chances? Because you play a lot of political chess. I mean, I've sort of seen how you've been able to work and move in the system because you've been in the minority for so long. So what do you think?
We live by our wits.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. I mean, it is. I mean, at what point?
I think one of the legitimate criticisms of the bill that's being passed here is that the private insurance industry is going to do very well. They get, on balance, a whole horde of new customers who are, on balance, healthy. And so, they're going to have a bunch more people paying into their system, and I think they'll be happy when they get done to see that they've got many more paying customers, not so many sick people on balance, and their balance sheets will reflect that. I haven't been watching their stocks over the last few days, but I imagine that most private insurance companies' stocks are benefiting from the passage of this bill.
But it's interesting that they're fighting it so hard. They're going after senators like Senator Begich in this state. They're putting out all sorts of ads like, kill the bill and all of this. So, and it's not just, it's interesting to me that the far right and the far left are both really pissed. So there must be something right about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
When you sort of go the balance of the fringe and you go, well, I guess maybe the majority of the middle will be happier.
And I think it's of a character of our president. He's very much a centrist in my view. He is not a liberal. He is a centrist. He's not a
liberal.
Wish
he was.
He's getting things done. That's the beauty of it. I mean, look how many presidents have tried this and failed. I mean, Bill Clinton, the genius that he was, and Hillary Clinton, the smartest girl in the room, they collapsed. And that collapse, frankly, led to 1994. And you know what that was about. It was the Republican Revolution and Newt Gingrich, and it was horrible. These guys learned from that experience. They passed the bill. And, as the doctor said, this is a foundation upon which we build.
And going forward, we'll see how that all works out.
Yeah.
This isn't a perfect bill. The unions aren't real pleased with this bill, I understand,
Nope.
Mr. President,
Yeah,
AFL-CIO.
obviously there's I've noticed that they're a little mum right now. I mean the international leaders of the labor movement right now, they're sitting back. They've always made it real clear, what their desires are. And, one is that benefit plans aren't getting taxed.
Right.
One, that there's a public option, that it covers everybody.
Well, the best speech I've heard about the public option was by Richard Trumka. He absolutely had, it was at Netroots Nation, he had the entire place on their feet, like wanting to join the Bloggers Union. It was amazing. He was really impassioned about this is not going to be let go of. This is already a compromise. So, it's interesting, but, with Employee Free Choice Act vote possibly coming up next year, they're, I think, holding their breaths perhaps.
Well, I mean, there's always what's the next battle going to be down the road. And, I mean, there's a president that we all strongly supported who I think is doing wonderful things. I mean, you have the right, making all kinds of criticisms, and right now just being the party of no and just total obstructionism on everything he's trying to pass, because obviously the better he does, the harder it is for them in midterm or in the next, presidential cycle. But and that really bothers me, because they're not really looking out for what's good for the rest of the country, but for their own interests in that regard. And so, but there are a lot of other issues that are coming down the pipe, and I know that we don't want to throw ourselves under the bus by falling on our sword on one issue when there's all kinds of things. And I also believe that, like I said, there's a lot of good things in this bill, and it may not have everything we want in it, but I think it sets the groundwork or a basis, for getting to those other things.
Well, I know